All right, let's dive into one of the most profound and, frankly, unsettling questions in all of science. It's a mystery that touches on astronomy, biology, and maybe even the ultimate fate of our species. We're talking about an idea called the Great Filter.
So the whole thing kicked off way back in 1950. The brilliant physicist Enrico Fermi is at lunch with some colleagues, and out of the blue, he just asks, "Where is everybody?" Now, he wasn't wondering where his friends were. He was talking about aliens. And that simple four-word question sparked a paradox that has haunted us ever since.
To really get why this question is such a big deal, you have to try and wrap your head around the sheer scale of the cosmos. I mean, look at that number on your screen. That's 70 sextillion. It's our best guess for how many stars are in the part of the universe we can see. And now we know that pretty much every one of those stars has planets. So the universe should be absolutely packed with life, right?
And that is the heart of the mystery. This huge, gaping chasm between the incredibly high odds that alien civilizations should exist and the complete, total, deafening silence from the cosmos. We've been looking and we found nothing. It's a phenomenon that some people call the Great Silence.
Okay, so let's get into that cosmic calculation. Why exactly are we so sure the universe should be crowded? You could almost think of it like we're criminal profilers, trying to build a picture of all these missing civilizations.
To do this, astronomers have a tool called the Drake equation. And don't worry, this isn't going to be a big math lesson. Think of it more like a recipe or a checklist. It's just a way to organize our thinking and make an educated guess about how many alien civilizations we might be able to talk to just in our own galaxy.
It basically works by stringing together a bunch of probabilities. You start with how many stars are born, then how many have planets, how many of those are in the right spot for life, and so on. And here's the wild part. The more we learn about the universe, the more optimistic those first few numbers get. We now know that planets are everywhere, and the ingredients for life seem to be too.
So what happens when you run the numbers? Well, even if you're super conservative, like really pessimistic with your guesses for the later parts of the equation, the result is still staggering. The Milky Way should have thousands, maybe even millions of civilizations out there. Many of them would be billions of years older than we are. So again, we have to ask, where is everybody?
This silence, this emptiness, it's so profound it points to a very compelling and honestly pretty terrifying explanation. It's the prime suspect in our cosmic missing persons case, an idea called the Great Filter.
So, what is the Great Filter? Well, imagine a giant, invisible wall somewhere on the timeline of life. A universal challenge that is so hard to get past that it stops almost every single emerging life form from ever becoming a spacefaring civilization. It essentially sterilizes the galaxy. And this is where the logic gets really twisted and kind of chilling. It's completely backward from what you might think. See, the easier it was for life to get to where we are now, the more common it should be out there. And if life is common but the galaxy is silent, that can only mean one thing. The filter that stops everybody must still be ahead of us. This splits the whole investigation into two very different paths, two completely different futures for humanity. Is this great cosmic wall in our past something we, against all odds, managed to conquer? Or is it still waiting for us, right around the next corner?
So let's break that down. On one hand, if the filter is behind us, it means we are an absolute fluke. Life like us is ridiculously rare, we might be the first, and the galaxy is an open frontier waiting for us. But on the other hand, if the filter is ahead of us, it means getting to our stage of development is easy and happens all the time, which means we're just the next in a long, long line of species headed straight for a universal guaranteed catastrophe.
All right, let's explore the good news scenario first. The filter is behind us. This is the rare Earth idea. It suggests that for us to get here, we had to survive an evolutionary gauntlet of near impossible steps. Maybe just the leap from non-living chemicals to the first life was the big one. Or maybe, and this is a huge contender, it was the jump to complex cells like ours. You know, that step took nearly 2 billion years to happen here on Earth, and it looks like it might have only happened once. That could be it. But now, let's look at the dark alternative. What if all those evolutionary steps were actually pretty easy? Then the filter must still be waiting for us. It would be a trap that comes packaged with technology and intelligence. The list of potential culprits here is pretty sobering. All-out nuclear war, a lab-made supervirus, runaway nanotechnology, and out-of-control AI. Or maybe it's something simpler, something baked into our own DNA, that every intelligent species is just too aggressive to survive once it gets its hands on planet-killing toys.
And this is a really crucial point. For something to be the great filter, it can't just be a major setback like the fall of the Roman Empire. No, it has to be a total, unrecoverable, species-ending catastrophe. Game over, no second chances, a full stop that no civilization has ever bounced back from.
So, how on earth do we find out which it is? Are we the first, or are we the next to die? Well, this is where the whole story gets truly mind-bending, because the answer to our fate might not be found here on Earth at all. It might be waiting for us out there, in whatever our telescopes and space probes find next. Think about it. The search for alien life. We've always seen it as this noble, exciting quest to find companions in the cosmos. But through the lens of the Great Filter, it transforms into something else entirely. It becomes the ultimate diagnostic test for our own survival. A test to find out if we're doomed.
Let me show you how this test works. Just imagine for a second. Tomorrow, you wake up and the breaking news everywhere is that NASA has confirmed it. They found life on Mars. Now, your first reaction is probably pure excitement, right? But is that actually good news for us?
Okay, this slide right here is the key to this whole idea. So follow this logic closely, because it is chilling. If our rovers search Mars and find absolutely nothing, a completely sterile world, that is fantastic news. It means life is hard to start, and the filter is probably behind us. Our future looks hopeful. But what if they find simple microbes in the soil? Well, that means life starts easily. The filter suddenly shifts to being ahead of us. Our prognosis becomes alarming. And the absolute worst, most terrifying thing we could possibly find? Ancient alien ruins. That would prove that intelligent life also arises commonly, confirming the filter is almost certainly ahead of us. Our prognosis? Terrifying.
And this leads us to a conclusion that is just staggering. Finding a dead alien city, the holy grail of science fiction, the thing we've all dreamed about, would be, and I mean this without any exaggeration, the single worst piece of news ever delivered to the human race.
Why? Because it would be confirmation that getting smart isn't the hard part. It would be proof that some universal trap, something baked into technology or intelligent behavior itself, is waiting for every single civilization that gets this far. It would mean our own self-destruction isn't just a possibility, it's a cosmic near certainty.
So that great silence out there in the universe, it isn't just an astronomical puzzle. It's a warning. It forces us to look at ourselves and our future in a whole new way, and to ask what is probably the most important question we'll ever face. What is the test that kills everyone else? And how do we become the first species to actually pass it?